إن أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والاشتراك في القناة.
Remember when Jurgen Klopp was considered an absolute fool for spending £35 million on a Chelsea reject? Now he's the PFA Player of the Year and the first name on everyone's fantasy team sheet. Unless you're an idiot, of course. 9 months ago, we thought the heir to the Ronaldo-Messi throne would be Neymar. Maybe De Bruyne, Dybala, or even Asensio. Now, as we march towards the World Cup, the whole world is talking about one man, Mo Salah.
People go insane.
The guy could win the Ballon d'Or.
He just gets through game after game.
Mourinho is just not the greatest judge.
He just became the beast.
And this is where the journey began. Just 7 days after signing for the Reds, Mo Salah scored for Liverpool against Hertha Berlin. Right over there. In one completely crazy season, Mo Salah has dominated the league, rewritten Premier League history, and put Liverpool back on the top of European football. 12 years ago, Mo Salah started his career in the Egyptian capital. Yusuf Wael is an Egyptian football journalist who's trying to capture this moment in history. So what's it like in Egypt right now?
Well, okay, I'll tell you something. When Mohamed Salah won the PFA, Egyptians were celebrating like we won a war. Egypt won. Not Salah won. I mean, in our past presidential elections, people bothered themselves to go down to the stations, to the voting stations, and stand in line, cross out the names of both candidates, write Mohamed Salah's name, and just put a tick beside it. And not only hundreds of people or a couple of thousand people, no, 1 million people did the same. We're so related and attached to Salah right now, it's actually scary.
But this story is bigger than Egypt. Mo Salah has gone global, which is strange to think considering that when he first moved from Roma to Liverpool, our reaction was pretty much meh.
Well, when it comes to paying over the odds for a player, Liverpool have got previous. Andy Carroll, Christian Benteke.
Well, I think just like everybody else in the world, it looked like a lot of money. I know that he'd done really well at Roma, but the thing is, you see a lot of these players leave England and they go abroad and they do well, and you think, well, they couldn't hack the English league and that's why they had to go abroad. So I think it was a bit of a gamble because for whatever reason it didn't work out at Chelsea, didn't get his chances. So for Liverpool to spend that sum of money on someone that has already failed to prove himself in the Premier League looked like a bit of a dud to me.
Well, it wasn't actually about the amount, it was actually about the significance of the amount. I mean, for an Egyptian like Mohamed Salah, that's a huge honour.
And I think the first time we saw him in England, and it was at Chelsea, the way he played probably didn't do himself justice. But then obviously when he went to Liverpool, it was a different beast.
After going full beast mode, Salah got our attention. He's already outscored top striking legends, beating their season's best. Players like Eto'o, Aguero, Rooney, Henry, Inzaghi, Del Piero, Shevchenko, to name but a few.
Rather than someone having a purple patch at the beginning of the season that you can score 10 goals in your first 7 games, you're still going to be in the top scorers list in January, somewhere roundabouts. But when you're doing it in March, April, that means you're scoring all season long. And I think it's really dawned on people the last couple of months.
But the real moment, I think, when it looked like they'd got a world beater, when it looked like they got an incredible player, I think was the Watford game, mid-March, where he scored 4 goals. And he'd been scoring, 1 and 2 tap-ins, he'd been scoring the occasional good goal. But that was just a flurry of goals. And I think it was the first time where I really thought he can demolish teams. Whereas before he was chipping in, he was part of that front three and they were the beast. But in that game, I think he just became the beast, the player for Liverpool.
So how is it that not just Liverpool fans, but also opposition supporters have fallen in love with the desert Dalglish?
So you read stories about him buying life support machines for hospitals and things like that. It just seems like there's no bad side to him. He seems like a good bloke.
Every time Salah scores a goal, his father slaughters a cow and distributes its meat on the people.
I also read that he paid, he gave instead of prosecuting a burglar who'd come into his family home, which his father, I think, wanted to do.
But Muhammad Salah, he forgave the guy, and he told his father to forgive him. And not only this, but he gave the guy actually money, and he helped him to get a job. I mean, can you imagine how decent a human being have to be to do such generosity and to have such a kind heart?
I mean, I wouldn't do it if somebody burgled my house, but fair play.
So the Salah sensation is proving to be unstoppable, and the party was on in Cairo when he faced off against his former team, where Yusuf got us a front row seat.
And the people that were scared that they wouldn't be able to watch the Salah match because the power would be off, or we'd have satellite problems, or whatever. So when we actually started watching the match, it all became real. And when he doesn't have the ball, people just keep screaming and shouting at other players, pass to Salah, pass to Salah, pass to Salah. When Salah has the ball, people are like, aside from being frantic and shouting for him to score the goal, they try to stay as calm as they can. When he's shooting the ball, people go insane. When he scores goals, people yeah, that's insane.
Salah is the saviour of Egyptian football, taking them to their first World Cup in 28 years. And in Group A, they have a doable task. With Magic Mo in their ranks, you'd back them against Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Uruguay. Then they could face Spain or Portugal. So who's backing them?
He's got to carry that form if Egypt are going to have any chance. They've got a fairly favourable group. Uruguay might cause some issues, but the other two are beatable, and they're going to be scared of Mo Salah.
It's often a moment of genius, and you look at some of the sort of World Cup teams right there. The one that kind of comes to my mind is that 1986 Argentina squad with Maradona in it. Don't get me wrong, good players around him, but there was one star. It wasn't the star-studded Argentina lineup. It was Maradona and a good team behind him. And if he's got a good team behind him, I'm not going to stand here and say Egypt are going to the final. There are better teams. But having that one player who can spark that moment of brilliance is what you need in a World Cup.
All of the best sides who've got big players who are playing at the top level, they are all going to be running on fumes. You know, if you say one is, then every nation is going to suffer from that problem.
It's already crazy. I've already told you how big he is for the people. I can't imagine someone or anything being much bigger than what I've told you. But I can tell you something. If Salah doesn't perform like he is with Liverpool and with Egypt in the World Cup, I can guarantee you that people won't be mad and they'll be so forgiving. I mean, when I spoke with many people after that penalty against Congo in the World Cup qualifications, they said if Salah had missed it, we'd be okay with it. We won't be mad. The guy's done so much for us. The guy's done so much for his country, for our national team. We'd forgive him.
So, where does Mo Salah go from here? Can he keep it up? And who's going to be the next big transfer success? And the all-important question, what's the best nickname? Because I'm tired of hearing he's the Egyptian Messi. Is it Master Mo, the Cairo Curl, the Desert Dalglish, or the Pyramid Pele?